Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something, well, really different. We're looking at a worldview that kicks off with a very real, very local environmental crisis in North India, and then spirals out into what the author calls a grand unified theory of, well, everything.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we need to understand the crisis on the ground. We're talking floods and earthquakes. Then we'll unpack the engineering solution that was proposed. And from there, we'll see how that one idea explodes into this huge universal framework and a vision for a whole new future.
Okay, so first things first, the source material grounds us in a really specific and honestly urgent problem. It's pointing to two massive threats that North India is facing: these devastating, recurring floods and this constant fear of a truly massive earthquake.
And we're not talking about some abstract what-if scenario here. The author is describing a danger that has been a real part of life for communities there for decades. We're looking at major flooding in places like Patiala and Punjab, and this looming threat of a catastrophic quake shaking the Himalayas. And wow, this personal account from the 1993 floods, it just hits you, right? You can feel the sheer panic in those words, the rumor of a broken canal, the fear of an 8-foot wall of water, being on the threshold of death. It makes the whole thing feel incredibly real and visceral. The stakes couldn't be higher.
So, in response to this crisis that's been going on for decades, the author comes forward with a solution, and it's a really concrete, engineering-focused plan to try and tame the region's super complex water systems and hopefully stop these disasters from happening again.
And get this, the first version of this plan was actually put forward way back in 1989 to governments in India, Australia, and even the US. It's all about practical infrastructure, creating this interconnected system to get control over all that water flow.
So the core of this whole thing is what the author calls a trinity of water management. It's basically a three-pronged attack. You link the Ghaggar Canal, you manage the Ghaggar-Hakra River, and then you integrate all the local drainage and sewage. The thinking is that these three steps, together, would create a system strong enough to handle those crazy monsoon seasons.
Okay, hold on, because this is where things take a massive turn. This isn't just about pipes and canals. The author sees this plan as just one small piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. So the question is, how on earth does a water management plan in Punjab connect to pandemics, world peace, and, the entire universe?
All right, so how do we bridge that gap? Well, to really get what the author is saying, we have to wrap our heads around three key ideas. Think of these as the building blocks of this entire worldview, the engine that takes us from a local problem to a universal framework.
First up, there's this concept called Philselfology, and it's pretty much what it sounds like, right? Phil for philosophy, self for psychology, and ology for science. It's a method for mashing those three fields together to look at any single subject from all angles at once. It's about integrated thinking.
Okay, number 2 is something called the Gurumukhi metric system. Now, this is presented as this ancient knowledge system where the very letters of the Gurumukhi alphabet are like a secret code for the universe's basic elements. The author claims this system is the key to decoding everything from music to language and even to some wild concepts like 11-dimensional DNA.
And the final piece of the puzzle is something called cymatics, the study of how sound and vibration create visible geometric patterns. For the author, this is the magic ingredient. This is the physical bridge that connects the world of ideas, philosophy and psychology with the material world of science. It's the vibration that literally ties it all together. Okay, so you've got Philselfology, Gurumukhi, and cymatics. You got those? Good, because now we're going to see just how incredibly ambitious this unified framework really is.
Just look at this quote from the source material. It's kind of mind-blowing because it lays out the scope in one single breath. We're talking essential oils, COVID-19, the 6th mass extinction, global citizenship, and even something called 5D banking streams, which the author describes as a kind of new, multidimensional financial system.
So it becomes pretty clear pretty fast that the author isn't just trying to solve one problem. They're trying to solve, well, pretty much every problem. This single framework is being applied to global pandemics, green energy proposals, the science of linguistics, and even designing entirely new banking systems. The ambition here is just massive.
But there's another really important layer to all of this. This whole project, this entire body of work, is wrapped up in a personal history of prophecies and spiritual experiences that the author says have guided the entire process.
According to the author, these encounters started way back in childhood and have acted like guideposts along the way. They supposedly predicted not only the tough times and setback the research would face, but also that it would eventually, in the end, succeed. And this timeline is really fascinating because it puts the author's work right alongside those prophecies. You can see the first proposals back in the late 80s, then this tough period called the Fatal Years, all the way to submitting ideas to programs like Patents for Humanity. But the really crucial part, it points to right now, our time, 2020 to 2025, as this prophesied turning point, the best times for humanity and the beginning of a whole new era of science.
And it all leads to this ultimate vision, a prophecy from Sant Baba Versace, and the vision is that scientists from all over the world are going to connect to this center of the universe, that they'll unite and work together under white flags of peace, kicking off a whole new paradigm for science and for all of humanity.
So there you have it. We started in a flooded city in Punjab, and we ended up with a unified theory of the entire cosmos. It's a journey from a tangible, real-world problem to an all-encompassing spiritual and scientific framework. And it kind of leaves you with this big question, right? In our modern world where everything is so specialized, what is it that keeps driving us to search for that one single elegant theory that connects it all?